Good morning, folks. Take a deep breath and get ready. We've got earthquake news, weather alerts, astrophysics, Mars, the Radcliffe wave, and the galactic current sheet. And last night we did have part 4 of our climate series come out, so there's a lot to do. And we're starting with our star at spaceweathernews.com. 3 bright active regions, decayed sunspots beneath them. Coronal holes dominate both the north and south, and those with our app received the coronal hole earthquake watch overnight. Back to that in a moment, because we're looking at the solar wind. Even with that momentary spike misscaling the panel, we can still see that purple plasma speed was rising up into today. Still just a moderate stream, so geomagnetic conditions are remaining relatively calm, but not silent. Back to those earthquakes. Folks, this is our Blood Echo wind map at quakewatch.net. Faint blood echo signatures around the ring of fire, but with focus truly on the southern portion. We can see this should also be the focus given the outgoing long-wave radiation. Delta-class Earth spot near Peru with heavy negative anomalies along the Indonesia, Papua, and Oceania line. So we've got coronal holes. The solar polar field should be reversing this month. We've got a near 5-planet alignment ongoing over the next 3 days. Blood echoes and OLR focus on the southern ring of fire. And folks, here are those actual concentrations. Mini swarm of blood echoes in South America, and the bunch of larger rumbles, including blood echoes, to the west. Eyes open. Folks, it is looking like tornadoes are possible tonight in the United States. South Central low will create a powerful convergence as the cell deepens, driving simultaneous severe threats, ice storms, and a blizzard. And oddly, the other nation under fire meteorologically today is Iran. How about that? Again, we've got a low deepening, and there will be major flood threats to the southeast while snow takes over much of the Middle East nation at the same time. Let's go to the news. Let's begin far out at an exoplanet called WASP 12b. Unfortunately for this exoplanet, it does not have a bright future, unless you consider how bright it's going to get there as it inches closer and closer to its star before being swallowed. It is on a considerably decaying orbit. Its fate is inevitable. Up next, of the many problems with mainstream cosmology, the lithium abundance problem is not one we've talked about a lot. While in this paper they explore possible solutions, many have tried before, and it's mostly a theoretical game. But this problem is tough because we would need modern-scale petaflop computer modeling to see how plasma cosmology deals with that issue, and it's not like anybody's giving us time on those level computers. In that same vein, the person most responsible for the turn to dark matter when a plasma cosmology option was attempted to be put forth by Alfvén and Peratt decades ago is Vera Rubin. She is so revered in astronomy that she's considered virtually unassailable, and that, to me, is an invitation. She told us all that dark matter was our only search path forward, and in the single greatest point of cosmological irony, they're about to name a telescope after her that could end up putting the final nail in her theory's coffins. The LSST is one of those facilities that will be able to see the low surface brightness universe. You might recall, in yesterday's news we were just talking about this. They are the faint galaxies, the dusty plasma, and what's hiding behind it, the large-scale structure of the galactic connections to the cosmic web as well. The final piece of this puzzle will be seeing that hard-to-see material, and they're going to have to slap the Queen of Dark Matter's name on every discovery it makes. We're off to Mars, where they're noticing a water content in the upper atmosphere unmatched in previous observations. Their data has never shown this. Their models don't show it as possible. And given the hypothesis for how Mars lost its water in the first place and how Earth could too someday, this might suggest yet another signal that the red planet is changing magnetically. We have examined that evidence recently in a post-movie series focused on the great catastrophe cycle of Earth and how the external trigger is likely affecting the other planets already. That video is linked for you below. Folks, we're getting a lot of questions about the ground currents in Norway. This is and is not a story. Folks, the concept many new observers are exploring that this is some sort of unexplained and unexpected thing, it is not. This is the primary concern from space weather, the induced current, and it's a common thing during sunspot maximum. The story here is that indeed this was a mere crossing of the heliospheric current sheet, which happens every 2 weeks and which normally wouldn't produce this level of ground induction, but hey, Earth's magnetic field is fading, and we have been saying to watch for stronger and stronger effects from weaker and weaker space weather. Another example for the list, and indeed crossing the sun's current sheet induces current through the Earth, so what happens when the sun hits the galactic current sheet? Unfortunately, the answer is that the Sun is very likely a long-period recurrent micronova, and this is the likely trigger. We've been tremendously concerned with where the galactic sheet is now, and while I maintain that space weather is still the best way to track the degradation of the situation, the percolations of the new observations have strong relations to the concept. If you haven't seen the full movie, the 23-episode series, or our follow-up series, pause this video and click the links below because they have now mapped what is a likely feature of the previous wave to pass by our solar system, likely triggering the events surrounding the Gothenburg reversal and the Younger Dryas, a galactic-scale gas wave that they're calling the Radcliffe wave, and it's sitting right behind our solar system from the galactic center's point of view. They have mapped the surrounding gas of the solar neighborhood with some satisfaction, but it was much easier to denote it against the brightness of the galactic center in the past. What's against the blackness of the cosmos hiding behind on the other side has been another story. But now we have it, and indeed we're seeing something very much like what's in front of us, a curving, rippling, damped sine wave pattern hugging the galactic plane and rippling high above and below. That is precisely the description for the galactic sheet, or rather, the gas and dust caught on the leading edge of it, just like happens in our solar system with the Sun's current sheet. So to be clear, this is not some super bright or obvious thing. The red is just so you can pick it out. In fact, it was just the opposite, much harder to see. And indeed, it is the low-mass star formation filament and surrounding molecular cloud that has indeed been known to sit behind us for a long time. Although this new measurement does quite a bit more in characterizing the shape and suggests it's considerably further behind us than this. We knew it was there, just not how perfectly rippling it was around the galactic sheet. As for the cloud wave in front of us, still coming at us, well, that's not addressed in the new work, but they figured out a long time ago that strong magnetic fields held it together, another description of the wave riding the galactic sheet. While in 2010, the Voyager and Ibex craft could only suggest we were on a collision course with a massive gas cloud, today we do believe it has begun engulfing our system already. As our series described, we're seeing the starting effects already, but we've not quite hit the critical point in the event yet. We greatly appreciate your support, and not only can you view all those materials on the galactic current sheet, Earth's cyclical catastrophe, and the solar micronova at the links found below, but also that Part 4 of the Climate Forcing series came out last night, The Sun and the Oceans. Don't miss that one either. Lots of homework, I know, guys, but you need it all for 2020 and beyond here just to digest the daily updates. We've got wind map forecasts and shots of our star to close, and of course, we'll do this all again tomorrow. Right here, but right now, it's 4:20 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.